Mistake with the Alpha Chapter 90. Cleo point of view. I was glad that persuading Sam to stay wasn't as hard as I thought. I didn't stop what I was doing for her family. I even made it so that those people they patronize stop acting funny. I'm their Alpha's mother, so they won't dare to disobey me. Omar was now visiting often, and this was making my husband so glad. He wouldn't stop calling him in-law. I wasn't happy about this, but then what can I do? I couldn't tell him the truth. With the way my husband was doing, I know that Sally was right to tell me not to say a word to him. He might not believe it. I was trying so hard to behave the way I do behave with Omar before. I have to be careful. My husband has started to notice that I'm acting differently to Omar and that I don't even get close to Allison. Don't you want Allison to marry our son? He asked me. That's not it. It's just that she's not behaving the way a Luna should behave. She's too cruel, I said blankly. I hated how my husband is blind to all these. I'm beginning to suspect they haven't used magic on him either. There's nothing those people couldn't do. Don't be like that. Jalen left her no choice. He wouldn't stop sleeping with that maid. You know how painful that can be on a mate, he said. Jalen is an alpha and he can take whatever he wants. His sleeping with the maid is also not the choice of the maid. She can't disobey his alpha. Why then should she be punished for that? I asked. Moreover, it's no one's fault that their mating bond is not that strong. My husband couldn't say anything to me. He just kept taking Allison's side. Well, I made him understand that I do not hate Allison, but then she should behave like a proper Luna. I was in my room because I couldn't bear to see Omar and act normal for long. Then Sally's phone came in. I was talking to her about Sam's pregnancy. I was overjoyed when I heard that my son's mate is pregnant. I know this will ooze out of a lot of trouble, but then I was happy to be a grandmother. I had thought that Jalen would never find himself a mate. In fact, this baby will help a lot. It might even make Jalen know that Sam is his mate. Sally was giving me details of Sam's health. I had made it so that she's so close to Sam. I actually wanted to bring her to my place, but then my husband hates her. He thinks of her as the enemy. Bringing her would cause trouble in my home. Cleo. I heard my husband call. He never calls me by my first name, else he is angry with me. Cleo. I heard again. I didn't reply to him, I just walked down to the living room. I could see his black round eyes glaring at me angrily. I realized Omar is still around. I begin to guess what he has told my husband to make him this angry. Why are you shouting my name? I asked with a hostile voice. Don't tell me what I just heard is true, he said, breathing hard. How do I know what you heard? I replied. Looking at the way my husband was boiling with anger, I didn't know what got him that angry. Gerard, can you please calm down? Omar said softly. I thought it to be hypocrisy. I looked at him and then went back to my husband. Don't tell me to calm down. This is at the detriment of my family, he snapped at Omar. I looked at him to know what is making him this vexed. Did you know that that maid is pregnant? I asked sternly. I knew we would one day talk about this, but then I didn't expect it this way. Who would have told him that I know about this? Who told you I know? I asked with bland eyes. That's not my question, woman, he shouted. And don't you raise your voice at me, man, I shouted back. I've never shouted at my husband, but then I'm so angry. So angry that he chose to take the side of an outsider rather than listen to his own son. Jalen already told us he would figure everything happening out, but then he wants to force Jalen to marry that imposter. It pained me so hard that I couldn't tell him. I don't even know if I told him he would believe me. Oh, so you knew. You knew that that maid is pregnant and is trying to pin it on our son, and you agreed to it, he said, smiling angrily. I know nothing aside from Jalen telling me it's his baby. Jalen didn't deny it, I said. Then you think I'm not fit to know? He asked in pain. I know it was bad, but then what can I do? He would not believe it. What is the use of telling you when you would just do what you're doing now? My voice was low. I didn't like how I'm fighting with my husband, but it's worth the fight. I don't mind fighting him until I fight every wrong. You know I wouldn't let the lie live. How can she be pregnant when she's not his mate? I'm so disappointed in you, Cleo. I thought you were very smart, but I'm wrong, he said rudely. I looked at him in anger. He just called me a fool. I'm going to the pack house to right the wrong, he said, and left immediately. I looked at Omar angrily. He was giving me a pleading look. What are you still waiting for? Follow him and finish what you started, I said with a disgusted look. It's not what you think. I didn't. I raised my hand to stop him. I didn't need his stupid explanation. I then walk away. I needed to go to the pack house to stop whatever my husband was doing. By the time I'm done dressing and got down, Omar was gone. I then drove crazily to the pack house. Getting to the pack house, I've started to hear noises. People were talking everywhere. Then I knew my husband had created a scene. I entered the pack hall and saw Sam being dragged to the middle. People were already gathered in the pack's hall. I then ran to my husband. Gerard, we can settle this amicably, I said, pulling his hand. He jerked his hand off me and did as if he didn't see me. You have to tell the truth behind your pregnancy, he said to Sam, who was sitting on the floor. Be reasonable. It's your son you are disgracing here, I said harshly. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to stay up to date with new videos uploaded. Also, check out our next video in the series.